What's up, everybody? Welcome to another new episode of SCNS Live, the Super Cool Nerd Show. Thank you for joining us out there in the Super Cool Nerd Nation for another week of nerds, news, and oh boy, we are eating good at some TV this week. I gotta tell you, whoo, we're gonna get into it. I am Jason the X. I'm not doing this thing by myself. Over here is Cass.
Hi, I'm Cass. That's it. That's all you get.
Rejoining us on the show after a long, extended absence, Aaron Prado!
How you doing? Thank you for
joining us, man.
Thank you for having me back.
We have missed you around here.
I feel like something happened in the interim that wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
It didn't cause a global anything.
Yeah, right.
Some stuff happened.
What
was it?
I don't remember.
But of course, producing the show behind the board, Twisted Nas, making everything look good. It is Cora, girl.
I caught him. I told you I was not going to let anything happen.
Sweet baby boy.
Just sweet baby boy.
On the topic of things we're talking about, she was like, "Do you have a Gambit figure?" And I was like, "All right, I'll let you hold the Mezco." And yeah, I've already talked about how much that figure costs. So it slid down her cardigan, and I was like,
He's not going to end up in my purse later.
"Why you look at me?" I had a crisis of faith.
You wouldn't notice.
I had a crisis of faith this weekend, and she was involved. I thought I had a problem with toy collecting, just for a second.
You do.
Just
and
for a second.
I can help with that. Look, I have a great solution.
Okay.
I just take this home with me.
No, you ain't taking that home.
The polykill is in shambles.
I even like in our Discord, I like messaged her. I was like, "Damn, I think I got a collecting problem," and I deleted that immediately. I was like, "That might incriminate me. I didn't take that." But I found the thing I was looking for and was like, "Oh, the crisis of faith was over."
Sure. Yeah, not a big deal at all.
It was panicking. Like literally after you said, "I have not taken anything recently," I kind of just sat in my computer chair for a second, like, "Is it me?"
Oh, so one of these days you're gonna come over and you're gonna find a shelf.
And I had
of all of my favorite figures.
I had that Principal Skinner moment. Is it me? No, it's everyone else. It's the children.
If that happens, you must take a picture of it.
Absolutely.
No, you better not. Do not. Apparently.
Keep an eye on your holder.
Frame it, and put it on the wall.
Will cause me to have a small crisis panic attack.
I think last time I took one, I sent you like a ransom note. And it was Zenyatta.
I want to push you over. Anyway.
It was really funny, actually.
Let's talk about how good and tragic this week has been. Who is not caught up on X-Men 97?
Shame.
Okay, well
I didn't watch the original. It wasn't a part of my childhood.
We never delve in spoilers, but let's be real here to the other three people who are familiar. X-Men 97 is some of the best stuff coming out of the MCU right now.
I have personally been very impressed with the fact that they've been able to take runs like with Inferno that were 9 years in the works. Like her lore spans for 9 years, and they condensed it into an episode. And normally that sets off alarm bells, but it shouldn't here because it's very well done. There is no piece of dialogue is frivolous. Everything is needed. Every action important, and that is through the entire show. There is nothing here that isn't warranted, and it works. And I have a lot of feelings.
We had a very long conversation about this.
Do I need to watch this show?
You absolutely need to watch
Here's
this
my
show.
question. I've never watched the original.
You don't need to.
Okay.
Technically don't, but because it is a continuation, it probably helps a little bit just to get some background on some things, but I wouldn't say it's necessary.
It's not necessary. All you would need to know is what happened at the end of the original show. I can give you the major point that happened.
Well, I mean,
I could just say right now what happened at the end of the original X-Men from the 90s.
No spoilers because it's been 30 years.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Charles Xavier is assassinated.
Oh shit.
And the first
Kind of, though, because he
purpose?
was taken
Well,
away to the...
No. As far as we are aware, he has been assassinated.
Right.
How 97 is playing it, he's been assassinated.
Right, but he's still on another planet, right?
I don't remember that much.
Yeah, I forgot the alien race that came...
Shi'ar,
thank you. They came down and took him away to heal him.
I just got a little Landro figure, by the way.
Oh, nice.
All we know, and all the X-Men know... Oh, hold on, I'll put this on. All we know and all the X-Men know is that he was at a press conference of some sort, and there was a dude that shot him. And that's all the X-Men really have as far as information, and that's where the show starts, is after his death and after his funeral, essentially.
But see, she doesn't need to get caught up because we have an announcer that always comes in and says, previously on X-Men.
That is true.
I'm a little hesitant because the last show that I was told you don't need to watch whatever other show was Rebels, and if you watch Ahsoka without having watched Rebels, which is what I did, nothing makes sense.
Oh, that
you
would
don't care
hurt.
about any of the characters. Like, it's awful.
Well, these are the X-Men. They're the X-Men.
I think. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But I think, as someone who doesn't remember a lot of the original show, so that's why I say you don't really need to. Like he said, it's the X-Men. We already have in knowledge from just pop culture, like who's with who has relationships with who, and even if you don't, then you learn really quickly in the first episode. They kind of just very casually you learn who's with who's got who's friends with who.
The dynamics.
Yeah, the dynamics. Thank you.
I know a decent amount of the X-Men lore overall, even though I read far more DC comics than I do Marvel.
Gotcha.
And see, that's all you really need, honestly. And any questions you have on relationships, there was one that I didn't know about because I didn't read the comics.
You didn't know that Xavier and Wolverine were banging, right?
That's what it's about. Oh my god, you just gave it away!
Darn, man. Anyway, but that level of I didn't know this person and this person knew each other outside of certain circumstances. Mm-hmm. But not knowing that kind of worked out in a fun way because we learn the backstory later. So things that you have questions on do get explained later.
That's very true.
And also, anyone that says that the what is his name? The boy that shows up in the first episode. Roberto.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not familiar
Anyone that
with
says that Roberto is annoying and they don't like him, you're wrong. He's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
I might start it after I finish Fallout, which is
we're going to get to that, but first, the X-Men episodes, we were the artwork on these episodes is so great. There's no drop space. They are they're like, it's time to tell the story. Let's go.
I was kind of, when they first announced this new show being made, I was a little reluctant because of how much I love the original series, the animated series, so much. That I was I saw the animation, I'm like, it looks good. So this last episode, not to give anything away whatsoever, made all that evaporate. I have no quarrels or qualms whatsoever now. These episodes before that were good, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed all of them, but this last one just pushed me I'm in this for the long run.
And to bring up Cora's point from earlier, we are telling long storylines in the comics within a 22-minute time frame, which doesn't even feel like 22 minutes. It feels like I'm watching a longer show.
It really does.
But that is a compliment.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
No. They are making it work.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And this last episode, Gen X right now is on Facebook talking
flipping.
Fucked me up.
It is.
That's
crazy.
Mostly what I've seen is this last episode.
Yeah.
I like that a friend of mine also messaged me at 4:30 a.m. to talk about the episode this week. Now, granted, I was up because I've been back on going to the gym. Yes.
Congratulations.
But he messaged me at 4:30 talking about, yo, this X-Men episode. And honestly, I was in the last 5 minutes of it. And I put, how dare you message me at this hour? He was like, you knew my ass was up. He was like, I knew you. I had faith.
Nice.
So, but wow, the episodes, I mean, the depth of the original X-Men series was there, but they are really taking it to all new levels right now.
Whole new levels.
I mean, episode 2, I was like, oh, this is a different show.
Yeah.
This is arguably a better show. Well, not better, but while they knew, hey, y'all are adults now, so we're going to talk to you like adults.
And thank God Disney allowed them to do this. And not like kitty it up or anything like that.
No, they did not.
So, this is just something I've always liked with X-Men as a whole, and what I appreciate with the show, and I'm sure, like, this is another pitch for you, Cass, that I think you will appreciate too, is they take topics that are very hard to talk about, and we're going to talk about it, and you're going to feel real uncomfortable afterwards because now you have to think about it. But we're going to spin it in a way that makes sense for the show. Like, I will say that episode 2, without any spoilers, because, I mean, it makes no sense, was pitched to me as January 6th. And I was like, oh, that can't be nearly as bad.
I mean, do we want Marvel to get political now?
Well,
the X-Men have always been political.
I
know,
Exactly.
But that was how it was pitched to me. And I was like, surely that's just the closest comparison. It's not that bad.
I mean, but going back, I think we talked about episode 2. That speech by Magneto.
Oh.
Yeah,
that hit me.
Yeah.
That hit me.
Okay, we can't talk.
No.
Right.
But that was episode 2. As somebody that also, tries to be a better person, Magneto's speech to the UN Council was like, that hit me.
Yeah.
It was like I actually understood more about like why I chose to not be an asshole.
I loved how that just brought more dynamics to his character too. Instead of just being the one-sided bad. I mean, he was never one-sided.
He would have perfectly justified in that moment.
Exactly.
You know what
he's gonna do.
His love for Charles is what's straightening him out in a sense. It's like it's giving him an arrow to go with. I appreciate that. It adds to me more to his character.
It really, you felt the pain of the character where I'm trying and y'all keep testing me, but I'm still trying.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, that was, oh man. I'm like, oh yeah, I joke around, Magneto's right, but that gave that character so much depth from what we did not see in the original series.
Right.
Where I was like, all right, I'm here for whatever Magneto's here.
Is it me, or is there a way more emotions built into this series than it was the first one?
They are giving the characters room to be characters.
Yeah.
They're giving them a lot more personality and more depth.
Okay.
Yeah. And we still have to think about, the Magneto character. As him and Charles have butted heads, that's still his friend. That is his best friend. And he is also dealing with the grief of that.
Yeah.
So this show is doing amazing things. I've rewatched episodes as well by now.
Multiple times.
Because I'm just like, did I get everything?
I want to absorb all of it, yeah.
Yeah. So, I hate that. I know we're getting more episodes eventually in season 2, but damn, I would have loved to see this be like a 23 episode run. They're doing such good
old school.
They're doing such good things with what they have, though. Excellent show. Please go watch it if you haven't. So,
my last point, I didn't know Magneto was hot, so that's been fun to grapple with.
Always has been.
Seriously, yeah.
Oh, but then...
No, always has been.
But then we turn around yesterday and get the debut of Fallout on Prime Video. And, look, I have married the biggest Fallout fan there is. And the fact that my wife was pleased with what was shown with no notes... That's all I need. I got into Fallout late in the game, but with the lore of Fallout, there's a lot of room to tell stories from other regions and other vaults.
Yeah.
But still keep the feel of Fallout, and damn it, these people did it. Show was renewed for a second season before it even aired.
Yeah. Wow, really? I was not aware of that.
They did announce.
Yesterday or the day before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they upped the release date. It was supposed to come out on Thursday, which also, funny story, Becky took off of work to watch the Fallout show, and then they kicked it off early, and she has to leave for work 5 minutes before it comes on, and I'm like, well, I've been watching Fallout.
Oh, man. That's planning right there.
Yeah, I might be sleeping on the couch.
I do remember that when Sandman came out, I didn't do anything for the next 2 days. I just sat there and watched it, and like, to have something that you love to that extent be adapted so well.
I was about to ask,
a dream come true.
because I didn't read any of those, but I saw the show and the show was great. But how closely related was it to the actual
There was some leeway
deviation?
taken.
Okay.
Sandman?
Yeah.
There are liberties taken. Sandman comics is the weirdest comic I've ever read, and so you had to. Those adaptations were for the better.
Okay.
There's stuff like what is their name? Desire. Desire doesn't go by they pronouns in the original because they pronouns didn't really exist in the 90s. And so it's stuff like that. It's updated for a modern audience. There's some gender swaps. There's some.
That's
there's definitely adaptations, but every single one of them is a good decision.
But the feel of Sandman was absolutely there.
And from what I understand, the same thing with Fallout.
Absolutely. Yeah. Every little. I'm like looking for every little Easter egg and detail because they put it in there.
That's what I read.
The look of the weapons, the look of other characters, that whole like other devious things going on. Walter Goggins is amazing in this role. Walton Goggins. The lady that plays Lucy, I absolutely love her. But just the
who also plays Jinx in Arcane. Kat pointed that out.
Oh,
that's the same actress.
That's right.
She's fantastic.
So, but as far as like this storyline and everything, once again, it's only going to be 8 episodes.
Very, very tiny spoiler, but my favorite line so far, I've watched 2 episodes. Somebody says that a cyanide pill is the most ethical product that Vault-Tec ever made. And I was like,
tastes like bananas.
Dang.
Yeah.
I was surprised it wasn't more popular. I was like, what the? Because I know a little bit about Fallout, but I know Vault-Tec. I know that's accurate.
It's after the nuclear holocaust, so I kind of get what he's saying.
But also, they're like, they grab you immediately. Oh, we're telling a good story. But then, as you get further, they are weaving another story all together.
Okay.
And it's one of those, it's all coming together. And I'm loving it. It's this, we are eating good right now. I couldn't, I knew that because we do get some Amazon stuff early, and they weren't allowing anyone to see. No. They took people to watch, like, the first 2 episodes somewhere, and I think the reaction was so good, they were like, we got us a hit.
Let it up.
Yeah. So they released it, but man, I could totally see this. I hear people discussing it in the next room.
Yeah.
Because my son and my wife are talking about Fallout right now.
Yeah.
But it is, this is a great show. It's funny, it's deep, it's tragic.
Yeah.
And I'm only 5 episodes
gory.
in.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you got all kinds of stuff going on.
No punches at all.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson, in his lecture series about how to write fantasy and sci-fi, talks a lot about promises in a story where you promise tone, you promise character arcs, and if you don't come through in those promises, then you're going to lose your audience.
That's the void, yeah.
And the promise made by the first sequence with Walton Goggins with his little girl, this kind of like funny, the reference with him and thumbs up, and then seeing all of that come together and it still be kind of funny, promises a tone of a show and promises that comedic element in tragedy.
Yes.
And like that's what it's about. That's such a good tone. It's so interesting.
I love that they have a sense of humor. That they kept that from the game.
It's
I
so
knew that
funny.
that always existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wasn't huge into Fallout, but when it did, like my wife played a game, like 3 and New Vegas and everything, I didn't understand what the Pip-Boy with the thumb and everything.
Right.
I didn't understand how deep that actually
with
went.
the nuclear blast. I think that's an old World War II thing,
real.
right?
And I've heard that in the military, but never equated it to the Pip-Boy. The Vault Boy.
I didn't either until the first was it the first episode?
Yeah, they got that.
It's in the first 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
But man, that opening sequence where the bombs start going off.
Too real.
The little girl saying, "Is it your thumb or mine?" And you're like, "Oh no!" It's so good. It's so good.
Or when the kid was like, It's like when he was putting the summit, it's like, how big was it supposed to be, kind of thing. You're like, oh, that's not good. That's not good at all.
And the look of the show, also they picked the perfect voice to be the Mr. Handies.
They did. I've loved him for years. I love him so much. It's Matt Berry. You might know him from the IT Crowd.
He talks like
What We Do in the Shadows.
The Shadows, yes, thank you. I'm bad with names. All I know is for What We Do with the Shadows.
That's why I try and give references.
Yes, thank you.
So where are you from?
But
hope I get it together. I love how he talks.
Nobody can beat Walton Goggins.
No.
We are talking so much about TV now. Okay, we've talked. Go watch these shows because they are amazing. But yeah, let's kick this thing off with some super cool nerd news.
So we're going to start with my most annoying thing that I saw this week, which was the trailer for Joker 2. I need you to understand how much I dislike the first Joker movie. And its director, I can't remember his name. He promised that the second one was going to be a musical. It's Lady Gaga. It makes sense. We got the first trailer, and it doesn't feel like a musical. And then the director clarified his comments, saying it was going to be a movie where music is important. What does that mean?
I didn't bring enough alcohol for this story.
What does that mean? Music is important, and like there are some musical sequences in the first one, and sure, maybe that they're gonna have some, but first of all, that's not a musical. That's not the same thing. And second, this seems to be very much the tone of the first movie, which putting a woman in it seems awkward because the first one's pretty anti-feminist. It's pretty anti-women. It's very, if you stalk a woman, it's probably because you had a sad childhood. And just
abusive.
Very abusive. Yeah. And I'll say this, and I said this when the first one came out, the whole point of the Joker is it doesn't matter who he is. It doesn't matter his background. He had one bad day. He went crazy. That's the whole point of the Joker. So to give Joker a, not one, but 2 movie backstory at this point is absolutely insane to do. Lady Gaga looks amazing, though. I don't know. She looks, and I almost want to see it just for her performance because she's going to be amazing. Yeah.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one that wasn't that big of a fan of the first movie. Because I've heard so many people talk so like, oh my god, it's amazing.
Right?
I watch it and I'm like, I didn't really care for it, to be honest with you.
This does not seem like the Joker that I'm afraid of, okay?
Right.
You got taken out by a cardboard sign.
Yeah.
He wasn't a super villain in a sense.
Yeah,
and then
also,
we got this young
Robert
Bruce
De Niro
Wayne
as a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But we got this young Bruce Wayne. So I'm like, okay, so Batman is not a factor in any of this.
No.
Right.
Because this guy's going to be a geriatric by the time Bruce is like ready to fight crime. Yeah. I wasn't there for it. In fact, I just felt not even sorry for the guy. He felt pathetic to me.
Yeah, that's how I kind of felt it too. Yeah. I didn't have nothing made me pull myself into it at all whatsoever, and I felt like I was alone for so long because of how many people spoke so highly of it.
Yeah, well, I do think it was a bunch.
Company.
I do think it was a bunch of film bros who were just like,
that makes sense.
Because this is the thing that drives me maybe the most crazy about it is it had an interesting production. So it did a thing that almost no movie does. It had its composer compose music and then played that music for Joaquin Phoenix to build a scene around.
Okay.
And you almost never see that with music that's not pop music or some kind of other. So that's really, really, that's an interesting concept.
Sure.
In service of such a trash movie that I can't stand it.
Is it worth going through all that effort when you have that as the end result?
And when you have just such a kind of the same take, like I've seen at least parts of Taxi Driver. You just remade Taxi Driver. You just remade a bunch of these like, oh, it's a man, but he's by himself, but he had a bad mom, and so he does bad things. And I'm like, we get it. We
feel bad for me.
Some of us lived through the 70s. And like that.
Hey, wait, hold on. Wait. Break on that topic.
Sorry. Okay.
I'm older than him. You look towards him, and I'm even older.
So I lived through the 70s. I lived through the 90s. There was a lot of that. I saw Fight Club, which is actually a better indictment of that kind of masculinity than any of these movies are. And, yeah, I'm so sorry. It drove me crazy. I'm probably eventually going to watch this movie for Lady Gaga's performance, but I just can't stand it.
I mean, I'm going to watch it, and I don't really want to, but I'm going to go watch it.
Right.
I'll stream it.
I do like Lady Gaga.
I'll pirate it. Or I won't pirate it because pirating's illegal.
That's not shame.
We would never do that here.
I will go overseas to watch it.
VPN.
Yeah. And I hope that will be the last word I say on this dumb movie.
So there we go. Y'all enjoy this cinematic masterpiece.
Ugh.
Anyway, let's talk. Cora, you got some stuff that can bring people up. I want you to go for it.
Okay, so back in 1985, a manga came out called City Hunter, and it became quite a sensation. Spawning, one moment, let me pull up my notes here. It spawned an anime. It spawned 8 animated movies. 4 of them were on TV. 4 of them were in theaters. And it spawned 3 live action adaptations. 2 of them were made in Hong Kong. 1 was made in France. Really weird. And a live action TV series in Korea. Like, I find that absolutely fascinating that
Wild.
it was that popular.
Yeah.
And now
It's one of my favorites, actually.
we are getting a Japanese
Look
live
at it.
action.
Sexy.
It's going to be on Netflix, and it is the first City Hunter live action to, 1, give the main character his long coat, and 2, be filmed on the actual streets of Shinjuku, which is where the story takes place.
This makes me want to go watch the original City Hunter.
I mean, everyone
Just to
should go
prepare
watch the original
myself.
City Hunter.
I need to be ready for this. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm
No,
so happy.
You're good. It's coming out April 25th, so mark your calendars. There is a trailer out, so if you're not certain how you're going to feel about it, you can go watch it there. I didn't grab it for the show just because I knew we were going to have a guest. And we're going to talk a lot, so no need for a trailer. But everyone, like, the poster looks like a modern take on, like, half of the stuff they used for, like, the covers.
It's so 80s vibe. I love it.
Really is.
Get out all of your city pop. And
Give me some synthwave music, you know.
Now, the thing to note is this is a more modern take on City Hunter. It's not set in the 80s like it usually is. It is set in a more modern day Shinjuku, which I think works.
Okay.
The way the show works, that makes it work. The female on the cover is a popular cosplayer, and he's been hired to protect her, essentially.
I'm digging it.
I'm really
Okay, April 25th. I'm sold.
Yep.
I am sold. I love this anime. I can't. And I've seen some of the live action ones, and I'm like, okay, I watched them because they were City Hunter.
Yeah.
But man, I am at Netflix for this one. I need to get all my X-Men and Fallout out of the way for this show.
I'm very wary of Netflix recently when they are talking about adaptations of.
So,
One Piece was good. Shush.
So for this one,
To be fair, I'm thinking of a Nickelodeon adaptation.
There will be misses.
That one.
For this one, this is what I will say. It is not one that has, like, fantasy magic shit going on like Yu Yu Hakusho does, like One Piece does, like Death Note does.
Pretty grounded.
It's a very grounded show.
Hard-boiled detective.
Hard-boiled detective in a city protecting a dame. Like, that's basically what you've got going on. So it's real hard to mess that up because of that.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the effects looking cheesy because they don't have to do as many effects.
Yeah.
And it's mostly going to be them running around the streets of Shinjuku trying to get away from guys with guns. And that gives me a lot more hope for this one.
Dramatic gunshots.
Yeah. There's a moment in the trailer.
John Woo style.
Exactly.
Got some pigeons.
Yes.
There's a moment in the trailer where they're running away, or they're trying to run and get away from someone, and they end up in, like, a parking garage, and there's just a whole line of, like, military guys with guns. Just a whole bunch of guns, and he's like, your Uber is here? Your Uber Eats is here, fried chicken?
That's fine.
And you just hear simultaneously just all the guns just, he's like, oh, I guess the order's canceled, and then it just runs off
That's
as
what I'm talking
the
about.
bullets start flying.
Personally.
Yeah, like, it's great.
Yeah, if you got a chance to crack a joke up. Tragic situation that could happen, yeah, you do it. But anyway, yeah, City Hunter, I'm all for that. Aaron, you want to?
Oh my goodness, man. This is something
give me.
I have been waiting for a very long time. I mean,
boy.
you brought up the 80s. This initially, all right, it wasn't here officially in this time frame, but it came out in 82. Came out over here, I think it was 87 by the time we were officially brought to our attention to it, which would have been a Robotech at the time, which was 3 different animated shows. It was Robotech, Super Dimensional Cavalry, Southern Cross, and Genesis Climber, Mesopotamia. Yeah, whatever you say that.
Not even the same story, but
No, but they
work.
slammed them together and they gave us this beautiful story called Robotech. And it changed my life, the way I looked at things. It's what probably was the first reason why I loved giant mechs in the first place. But that brings us to Macross, Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, which was the first little third of the Robotech series that was so complicated. Harmony Gold.
Oh, man. We're about to go
a
into-
local company, too, by the way.
Yes, I was amazed by that when I was a kid. Harmony Gold was
Right here.
Yes.
I almost tipped that. But sorry, I get handsy.
My cry. Anyway.
Yeah, oh my god. So we've been waiting, let's say 30-something years for this, but finally,
Oh, careful, do not do that.
Oh.
That was very
Yeah,
loud.
that's
sorry. Disney Plus is bringing us
Oh, man.
all 18 Macross shows to us, unincluding 2 for most part. Super Dimensional Force Macross and Do You Remember Love? Only because Harmony Gold still owns those properties because it's tied in to the Macross section. You got the Macross Saga, you got the Master Saga, and then you got the New Generation that all encompasses the Robotech. So they own anything that's associated with that first piece. So those will be put to the side. But outside of that, we are getting 18 series that we have technically have never had before. And for people who love Macross, they always love Robotech. They always love the Macross above all else. And we never knew what happened after that one point because then they switched to a whole new freaking show, which is totally different. Like, the animation's kind of similar, but it's not. And then it does it again when it gets to the New Generation. So, like, I can't even explain myself.
I mean, I love the Macross series, but you know the one thing that has been steady? You know how this series has been so well loved? Look at the collectibles that are offered for the show. I don't have any around here. You know why? Because they are so expensive.
Yeah.
To get those fully transformable ships that they make.
Yeah.
But they're expensive because people show up to buy them.
Yeah.
Not only that.
It's kind of similar to, like, buying Gunpla kits. They're so expensive because people buy
But
them.
Gunpla has that saturation.
Another problem, though, is Harmony Gold does not let stuff come over here.
Absolutely not.
It drives me. I love them so much because they added so much to my upbringing, my youth, what I grew up around. But on the other flip side of that, they've also made it so difficult to get anything new. It just...
Yeah, we're
if
like
I had
watching
hair, I
Eclipse
would rip
and
it.
other methods to watch the show. But it's still super popular. It's never dropped. Macross has never dropped off.
No. I mean, it continued. I mean, it's 18 different shows.
Yeah, and
multiple
we have had
movies that they put out.
no outlet for these
Only
shows.
in Japan that they were allowed to have this stuff. They couldn't get it over here whatsoever because of the agreement that Harmony Gold had with Shoji Kamare. Sorry,
Those guys.
that guy, the actual person who made Macross.
But you know what? Who can come with some money to make that deal happen?
Disney.
Yeah, for
And
real.
honestly,
All that
as much flack as we have given Disney on this show,
Sometimes they give us something
holy
though.
crap,
Including in the last 20 minutes.
we will take a poo-poo on Disney when necessary. But this Oh man, I'm so ready to watch some of these series. Like finally in the complete order.
So I
don't
can
have
see-
to like do all these other things that I have to do to watch these shows.
Because
I've-
before
I've experienced
you'd
having
have
to
to
pirate
VPN to a
Yeah, yeah,
Japanese website and hope they had a translation of it in order to be able to get
Or at
it.
least subtitles.
As somebody that
Yeah.
has, and as somebody that has kin in Japan, that tell me about, oh, hey, you didn't watch Leia's Macross? Shut up! Like, of course I didn't watch. I live in America.
It's so frustrating.
I gotta say, I would rather Disney have Macross than Crunchyroll.
Yes.
Because Crunchyroll lets their licenses expire.
Yeah.
Once again,
Also,
poo-pooing on another company
we
here.
were watching something. We were watching Berserk on Crunchyroll the other day, and
Really?
just subtitles disappeared.
Yep.
They just don't have
What up?
I'm like, hey,
That's
That's
crazy.
not good.
That
yeah,
is crazy.
luckily we were watching the English dub, so it was fine. But like, just
That's frustrating. I'm
disappeared.
sorry.
Just disappeared. Yeah.
Anyway, but this is great news. When are we getting these, by the way?
Yeah, it's a trick question. From everything
Oh,
I've looked up, they
come on.
said, okay, here's the problem, right? Because there's still legal things that kind of are working through. So the best answer I came across was sometime in 2024. So sometime this year, exactly.
I'll take it.
Checking my watch. Like what was my watch going to tell me about that?
You're dealing with copyright laws
With-
for two different
With
countries.
them two,
Yeah.
it's been like, you gotta understand, there is a transformer there. That's not what he looked like when we got him. The Jetfire / Skyfire, whichever namesake you want to go with, depending upon what side of the Earth you were on.
Excuse me, sorry, it's Jetfire.
Yeah,
Anyway.
in England it was Skyfire, but like neither here nor there. When you bought his character back in '86 or '85, whenever they released it, maybe it was
When you bought
'84.
it, right?
It
I did,
was
actually.
okay. So they were just consuming different IPs over there, right? One of them happened to be the Valkyrie that was in Macross that ended up being Skyfire, Jetfire, whatever his name is.
Jet Skyfire, whatever.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how convoluted all of these IP were surrounded. This one thing is.
The 3 series that we got in the 80s were not even like the same series, but they like put them together in the dub to make them one,
Oh my god.
to make all 3 one linear story.
And if you watch Southern
It's so
Cross,
confusing.
like I've recently tried to go back over the Southern Cross series because it's the most not liked of all the 3. It's usually Macross, New Generations are the favorites, and then people are like, you skip a lot of it. And I understand why, because a lot of the dialogue is just so like somebody wrote some words down, somebody said those words, and then they continued on to a new scene without any of those words really meaning
It just-
things.
Yeah.
Never experienced that. I've
that-
never watched a Star Wars.
That so that kind of dubbing is actually something that came up at my house when I made my roommates watch Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Oh, nice.
Which for us came out in like early 2000s. So
Okay.
like it was like it was an early 2000s, late 90s kind of thing. And back then they still didn't quite know what they were doing with dubs. So if their lips are moving, they must be saying words. They could be saying like, no, they're saying a word now. And so they would just have the actors continue talking even if they weren't showing their face until the character literally stopped moving their lips on, like, you saw them stop moving their lips.
Same thing.
So,
Yeah.
I
You'll
think that it's
you'll
the same
see
vibe.
scenes. You're like, what are they
Cass'
even talking
face.
about anymore? It's not even making sense.
Yeah, they're just repeating the same. Well, in Vampire Hunter D, they were just repeating the same thing over and over.
Honestly,
a bad idea.
to my example is it was '87. I want to say when they ported it over to us,
Yeah.
which anime was still in its gestation
Yeah,
period.
this did a lot for bringing
They
anime
didn't
to
have
the
the
States.
scripts.
No, they had scripts.
They made
that
it
was
up.
the thing.
Just made it.
For Robotech,
the
they
s-
made it up as they went, almost
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, for later stuff, they would make the scripts still, but they would purposely lengthen the, like, they could, like,
yeah.
I've watched it in Japanese and I've watched it in English, and it could be the sentence of, it was a beautiful fight, loved it, and that's the whole thing they say.
Yeah.
In English, it's, that fight, it was a good one, it was beautiful, magnificent, could never think of another better fight, can't wait to fight him again, and just keep
They
going.
made it work, though.
They made it work. They did make it work.
You know those people that are like, I should have been born in a different era. I wish I was an adult in the 80s. I'm not one of those people.
Because I mean, Robotech.
That sounds awful.
Robotech when we were kids.
Trying homes for
It changed
so
the game.
much to get something.
Oh,
good.
yeah.
To come out as a show marketed to children, and on the first few episodes, killed the leading character, Roy Fokker.
Roy Fokker.
Oh my god, spoilers.
Spoilers.
Nah, it was 30 years ago.
Anyway,
35.
that was doing major things.
It messed me up as a kid.
Yeah,
I was
we
not
had to deal with that.
used to
We
that.
were kids.
There was not shows back then that had that sort of dynamic to it between love interests and love triangles and death and all this
the
stuff.
Robotech story is a very deep one, and I know we got to move on too.
You gotta move on, Mike.
We got to move on. I'm excited.
gotta.
for it.
All right, no
Matt
worries.
Cross.
No
Hey,
worries.
Matt Cross. Cass. I think you're next, or is it Jason?
I think it's Jason.
It's
All right.
Jason.
All right, Jason.
So mine is more of an illustrated story. As my camera comes on, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. CinemaCon made some announcements, and it goes something like this. Yes, Paramount is doing a... No, they're not. They're just like merging together. Paramount has officially announced that they are doing a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. What do you need?
I want to see those.
Okay. No, you're going to make them kiss. No.
You go kiss.
Optimus
Anyway.
does not kiss Snake Eyes.
So...
Yet.
Yes.
It might happen in the movie. Yes, Paramount has actually announced that we will be doing a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. There's another one over there that's actually the same.
Wait, really?
Yeah, there's an actual...
I didn't see.
There's literally...
Duplicates of the...
They're different.
I'm a collecting problem.
First off, they're different, okay? Can I talk about a story first?
Talk about your story.
What's
Talk
the
about your
overall
story.
on how many he has of those?
In the recent... oh my god, there's another Snake Eyes over there.
Please keep talking.
I feel so called out. Anyway, recently with Transformers: Rise of the Beast, which was made $439 million at the box office, so it did make some of the money. But there was, and I will go into, there was a spoiler at the end of the movie, an additional scene where the character Noah Diaz went and was basically told like, "Oh yeah, we knew about everything you were doing,
Right.
and we want to possibly work with you further." And he was handed a card that had G.I. Joe on the card. As two properties owned by Hasbro and them looking to link these universes up, we are finally doing it. For years, even in the 80s, we had a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover
The comic book. Yeah.
It was great at the time. We've done several with... anytime a Transformers and G.I. Joe property has been at a comic license, they have done a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover.
Yes.
And we have been talking about a movie happening with these two properties since 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially happening. It is. They also showed footage for the new Transformers 1 series, which is coming out. But Steven Spielberg will be on to executive produce this with Lorenzo Bonaventura, Mark Verheiden, Michael Bay, Tom DeSanto, and Don Murphy will serve as producers. Nothing announced yet, but the fact that we actually are getting... They announced this at CinemaCon, so... The ball is rolling. They have officially introduced G.I. Joe into the same universe as Transformers. Fans of both properties right now are thinking this is completely awesome because we've waited for this for years. We've had it in comic books. We've had our Joes and Transformers together like
and
battling.
eating them too.
Are you quite done? We're even doing crossover material right now with G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe and Transformers in the toy lines. We're seeing like Megatron, his take.
That's right.
Soundwave as the Dreadnought thing. Toys are being released that are linking these two properties up. They're going for it. If they're doing merchandising for it already, and that merchandising is actually selling, they are definitely doing this movie.
There's a market for this. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, as a company that they make... you take his knife out?
Yeah.
Oh, you put it back. I'm proud. Thank you for doing that.
And then I'm going to put his gun inside his butthole.
But let's talk about the merchandising for this because Hasbro actually, I'm going to ignore
That's
that.
why his name is Snake Eyes.
Hasbro owns in completely the properties for Transformers and G.I. Joe. No royalty needs to be paid. So of course they're going to link their two biggest things together.
Why wouldn't
because
you?
they need to sell toys.
Right.
This is the 80s effect all over again. You introduce a show, here are the toys that go along with it, now go out and consume.
Just
You want
don't
a teddy
kill
bear?
off
Here's an Ewok.
Optimus Prime. They should have learned that from '86. 86. But yes.
Oh no. Right now, Transformers is actually, they have a studio series line which is focusing on the 86 stuff.
God bless them.
So, yeah, we are... The Transformers Legacy universe that they're doing right now is very good. The characters are represented.
When you were 10 years old, could you imagine being at
Absolutely
this spot?
I said that the day that they introduced 6-inch G.I. Joes, I was going to buy every single one. And I have not been proven a liar yet.
I don't know, sometimes they say it's 6 inches, but it's really 5.
Anyway, moving on. These are the biggest cash cows.
You gotta squint. You have to squint.
But these are the biggest cash cows for Hasbro.
Yes.
And now Disney to an extent.
Right.
So, of course, they're going to, try... And it's been, G.I. Joe has tried a lot of things on the big screen.
Yeah.
Not all of them have worked. Transformers has been fairly consistent as far as box office supremacy.
It's been
True.
panned by critics a lot of times, but it usually makes bank.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do not
Purist
stand by...
would be some, Yeah.
I don't stand by every Transformers movie, but I have watched all of them.
Right, same.
So,
same.
it's going to happen. They're just now in the talks. We're just now putting it together. Producers and directors and writers are just being announced. So, it's not in progress, but if they're announcing it this early, it's going to happen. So,
I'm stoked.
Transformers G.I. Joe, how are we going to make it work? Who are we introducing? I'm here for it regardless.
It's better be like the norms, like Duke, Lady J, all those, the ones that we grew up. Bring those in. Bring them with the regular Transformers that we all know and love.
We're entering the 40th anniversary of both of these franchises. We are in the 40th anniversary.
Don't say those words.
I'm friggin' old. I don't care. I appreciate that. What are you doing over there, Cora?
I'm just holding them.
She's doing way more than holding them.
No, that was completely not on purpose, actually.
Anyway.
Snake Eyes doesn't even talk. How's he asking for permission to kiss off?
Finally, Transformers G.I. Joe. I'm going to ignore what the producer is doing over there. Cass, hit us.
Alright, so some wild shit got announced at CinemaCon. I'm going to start out with my favorite wild things. South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker set live-action comedy with Kendrick Lamar.
What?
What?
Like
So
a live
the
action?
guys that made
How are
South
those
Park
words together?
and also Kendrick Lamar are making a live-action comedy together to go into production this summer and to release next summer. This is not a musical. You may know Kendrick Lamar from his absolutely fire songs every single time. He's an amazing rapper. Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they did South Park, but they also did Book of Mormon.
Yes.
This is not a musical, though. This is just a comedy. That got announced.
Which is funny because they do a lot of musical stuff when it comes to the movies.
They do. But not this one. Now You See Me is getting the third installment in its trilogy, and the original cast is coming back. Peter Dinklage cast as Dr. Dillman, the GOAT, not greatest of all time, the literal GOAT in Wicked. I love that. Five Nights at Freddy's sequel is confirmed, which we basically already knew. And this one might be my favorite. Margot Robbie's production company, Lucky Chap, announced at CinemaCon that they will produce a live-action feature film based on the board game Monopoly.
What?
The most boring board game alive is becoming a movie.
I want to say this very clearly.
Excuse you, it is only boring if you lose.
First off,
it's a 4-hour game.
I want to say this. I want to say this. If Brennan Lee Mulligan isn't over the moon about this movie, if it is not explicitly and ridiculously anti-capitalist, it will have failed as a movie. The board game Monopoly was specifically manufactured during the Great Depression to be an indictment of capitalism as a system. If it fails at that, then it will fail as a movie. But Lucky Chap is the people that produced Barbie, and Barbie was a fantastic movie, and Margot Robbie will probably be serving as a producer for the movie Monopoly. So
fantastic.
I feel bad because I've played Monopoly with my family, and none of them have ever won against me, and I almost feel like some sort of... I am
tyrant.
I am the bad guy.
I always
You're the evil landlord that nobody likes.
You're a dude, so like
I am the bad guy in these games.
Duh.
I manipulate people. I steal their assets,
No,
and then
I seriously.
I buy everybody out.
I cheat every single time.
That's why I'm homeless.
I would buy all of the properties on that first row and put all as the max hotels on them.
Oh, the
Because-
cheap properties, yeah.
Because no one wanted them.
Right.
You're a
But you
monster.
end up landing on them.
You land on them all the time, and I
So
would
you're a
all-
slumlord.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I would get all those, and I would also get all of the ones that were right after the the free space, or not the free space, the jackpot
Yeah.
square that was like diagonal from Go.
Yeah.
I get all the properties around there because you always landed
Free
on those a
parking,
lot.
is that what it was?
Yeah, free parking.
Yeah,
That's
so-
what it was. I would put hotels on all them
You're
too.
literally a slumlord.
Yep.
What's wrong with you?
I mean,
Because my sister would always get Boardwalk and Park Place and make them.
So she had a boardwalk empire.
Yeah,
Oh,
she had an
I was
empire
always
over
backwards.
there.
I always wanted the railroad
And
ones because they seemed fun.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're saying is you were a slumdog millionaire and she had a boardwalk empire.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, but she always had to trade me those locations because she would always land in my, as you call them, slums.
Yeah.
And never have enough money to pay me.
Yeah,
It was the only game I could beat her at. I had to do anything I could. Okay.
I was the worst. I'm the worst on it because I'll see someone's. So I see you're having some money problems there. How about
You want a load?
buy that off of you for? I got cash right here. I'm like cutting deals with other people on the board. I'm the worst.
I have a 70%
I don't
interest
feel as
rate on
bad.
my loan. Would you
Yeah.
like one?
Like whenever we finish playing Monopoly and I win, no one leaves the table
For
happy.
what amount of time?
I do see this
okay.
as being. I do see this
Sorry, I
working
caught
for
it in my
some
brain.
reason.
I was like, wait.
Anyway, I see this working. Okay.
It was a wild CinemaCon. I'm sure that there's more stuff that I haven't, but this was a wild
We've got long form stuff coming. Cora, please. What have you got?
Okay, so first of all, I do want to just.
Stop it!
Okay, now that
Get everybody here.
I've got that out of my system, and Jason will never talk to me again. That's okay. Anyway,
That was a mint G1 Prime.
Not a
and
minute
he
anymore.
smooched you guys,
Right,
and it
anyway.
was great. Anyway, we got some first looks at the new Nosferatu. I have been so nervous about this film. This looks great. Look at just this. Just look at it. It is serving the energy I'm wanting and looking for. Willem Dafoe is in this film as a vampire hunter, and I can't find that. I didn't grab that screenshot as well, but it is my favorite because the set is intricately designed. There's fire. He's going crazy, which is exactly what I want out of Willem Dafoe. And it is giving me everything I wanted, which is I want it to still be scary and I want it to be decadent. I want it to feel like a 90s vampire movie, even though this was not in the 90s. But I think everyone knows what I mean by that when I say that. Like, I want this to feel like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
So you mean you want it to be a metaphor for sexuality and understanding your own sexuality in your teenage years? Because that's how I understand the 90s vampires movies.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like-
80s and 90s, I guess, because right now.
Yeah, whenever you're watching, like, specifically Bram Stoker's Dracula or Interview with a Vampire, the sets and the costumes are always these decadent, lovely affairs. They always fit in perfectly with where the setting is. Like, you can see filigree on everything that the vampires own.
Yeah.
Like, I want that, and it looks like that's what we're getting. We didn't really see a shot of Skarsgård as Nosferatu.
Not yet. And they have... CinemaCon got some footage that we haven't seen yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited to see what that is. I want more than just this.
Yeah.
But I'm excited with what I've seen. I'm going to give this movie a chance regardless because Skarsgård.
Yeah.
He makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I want from someone who's doing something in horror.
Yeah. The only thing that really makes me nervous is that the director is Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch or Vitch, depending on how
The
you pronounce
Vitch.
The Vitch.
Oh,
A
twist.
horror movie in which nothing happened. That being said, this looks really good, and I like Nosferatu, even though he is just a copyright-free version of
of vampires.
Dracula specifically.
Yeah.
They made it in the 1920s
Yeah.
because Dracula hadn't been released.
They, William Dafoe, he was in one of those.
He was in... that was a while
where
ago.
it was, they basically were making Nosferatu.
Yeah.
It was him and somebody else.
Maybe
and
that's
He's
what-
also been in a previous movie of this director, The Lighthouse.
Oh, The Lighthouse
I was
is
gonna
amazing.
say-
Oh,
The
same
Lighthouse.
director.
Really?
So,
oh my god, you gotta watch it. It's
yeah.
so weird.
I will say about The Lighthouse in terms of like the horror, I want that kind of horror for this because it was perfect.
It was bonkers.
I like the way this guy works, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a little sad that it's not going to be in black and white just because of I saw what he could do with The Lighthouse and I really liked how that looked. But I also understand the audience is a different target than what he was doing with The Lighthouse. Lighthouse, he was targeting people that love A24 films, which means they like things that are more experimental.
Yeah.
This is being aimed at an audience that's more modern, which means he can't do that. He has to make it feel a bit more modern. And now that I think about it, I think the stuff I was talking about with Willem Dafoe, I think that may have been from the one you were talking about, where they were making Nosferatu.
They were making a movie, and it was he was like a real vampire in the movie that they were trying to make a movie of the movie Nosferatu. It was very meta in a weird way, kind of thing.
Very screamy.
Yeah, but he was a real vampire that was really like trying to eat people.
I missed that one.
I saw it, but I don't remember a lot of it.
Vaguely remember.
Yeah.
It,
Anyway.
yeah.
So-
I'm very excited. Love Nosferatu.
Yeah.
I love creepy, non-romantic vampires.
Non-romantic.
Yes.
Even though I understand that vampires are a representation of sexuality.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, I love a romance vampire, but I want to be physically terrified of it.
Yeah.
And Nosferatu is what does that for me.
Incidentally, Netflix's Dracula came out in like early 2020 maybe. It was quite good if you haven't seen it. And it explores sexuality in a really interesting way.
Excellent. All right, Andy, what you got?
What I got? All right, so bringing it back to Disney Plus for whatever reason, I must be a shill for the company,
Okay, yeah.
right? Well,
Double
this
trigger.
is the final
Get
season
Mickey
of the
Mouse out
Bad
here.
Batch. There's one more episode that comes out next week. It's building. It's like, no spoilers. I would never do that to anybody. But my God, this show reminds me of the same feeling I have because, all right, this is my age, and I know a lot of people get mad at this, but get over it. I didn't like the prequels whatsoever, with the exception of maybe the Revenge of the Sith. I was like, that was the one saving grace that they had. I saw all of them opening night in the theater, like I am, because Lucas owns my soul. But I mean, I almost walked out of the Phantom Menace. I was that like just, I hated it. Like to me, it was a spit in my face. It was, I gave him all my money. I gave him all my money. Like like my whole generation. I still have my Return of the Jedi sleeping bag in my closet right now from 1983. It's
Don't get
ridiculous.
nothing. It's going to fall apart.
Actually, it's in a sealed bag. It's great.
Oh my God.
Every once in a while, I'll break it out, and it only comes up to like here.
But
Anyway,
about the Bad Batch.
anyways, it's the final season.
Yeah.
It's filling in a gap like how the Clone Wars did with the prequels. It's the only for me was the saving grace for that whole story arc in the prequels because I love the Clone Wars so much. This is to me doing the same thing to the sequels that everybody seems to hey. I don't care. It's fine. They're all fine. They're not going to be pre-97 editions of Star Wars anyways.
Go ahead. It's fine.
Stop me in my time. Like,
No, you're good. You're good.
But
No,
yeah,
it's
so like, it's one more episode. It's going to be sad because I'm guessing everybody's dying.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta get on timeline. So
Yeah.
we know
When
what
you're
we're-
getting into
we
it.
knew where we were going with this.
So yeah, the
It's kind of
final
like Rogue
episode-
One.
The last episode was really good. The tone that he's taking, the care. I love all the care. It's such. I mean,
The
I
fact
love
that
this
we
show
got this show
in the
anyway
first place, right?
is amazing, and I've enjoyed Bad
Dave
Batch.
Filoni, look.
I love Clone Force 99,
Yes.
and it's been a good ride. I
It's
knew
only 3 seasons, isn't it?
I knew where we were gonna get eventually,
Yeah.
and we're there.
Yeah.
So-
it's just like Rogue One. Like you knew
Exactly.
everybody's gonna die because there's no getting out of this. Same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be a little sad.
Also,
I might
for a
cry
series-
a little bit.
Like once again arguing with my wife, but I never liked the clones. because I knew what they were going to eventually do.
Right.
Like in the animated shows. They were going to kill the Jedi.
Right.
Okay? And this kind of brought back... This kind of pulled me back from some of that.
That's what I loved about the Clone Wars and this and Rebels and all these shows are showing a human side to those individuals that, like, you got Rex, you got Cody.
You do got Rex. You don't like Rex?
No, I love Rex.
Yeah.
Rex is a... And yes...
Clone Wars.
Yeah, all of it.
Yes,
and
he is one of the saving graces, but I think, honestly... Bad Batch has made me remember that.
Okay, understand.
Brought a little love to you.
Okay,
yeah,
these are people.
I'm the Grinch. My heart grew 5 times.
These are programmed people.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, the Grinch's heart grew 3 times. Get your reference.
I do want to have a conversation with you at some point about the prequels and the sequels.
Absolutely.
We might have some
have an argument with you on camera.
We might have long-form content shows that might cover that stuff later.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
last episode's next week. Check it out. It's all over after this, and the story's concluded. And I'm seriously gonna have an emotional moment. It's gonna be hard. I'm looking forward to it, but also sad that we're finally coming to a close.
It's been a good ride.
Yeah.
We got to start getting through some stuff. We are at 9. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Anytime we have a guest, it's kind of expected.
But the show is good. If you lived in Texas, we had an eclipse this Monday. The weather cooperated. It was awesome.
So good.
That is a picture I took with my phone. I think I did pretty well.
You did fantastic. I do have a question though. Were there sparkly vampires?
No.
Oh.
But I had a gun ready in case.
Because one, I live with Mia, who loves the Twilight, or I shouldn't say loves the Twilight books, because she doesn't love them in the way that makes that sound. She loves the movies in a way that you can only if you hate them at the same time.
Cringe.
A love-hate relationship.
It's great, honestly. Yeah. Honestly, watching anyway.
I respect.
So the great thing about this is I took this with a filter over my phone, and I was able to get this amazing shot. However, people Google searches for the regions that were in the path of totality saw an uptick of searches for things like, why do my eyes hurt now? And even more specifically, why do my eyes hurt after watching the eclipse? And to that I say, people, your eyes hurt because you're not supposed to look at the sun unprotected. I am here on this show telling grown adults, do not look at the sun with your naked eyes. This is why your eyes hurt. The uptick in searches for this was alarming.
I looked at the sun.
Well, in totality, you're fine.
I have a little crescent in my eye.
Does that
matter? Does it matter at all?
That's called burning.
Yeah.
It's like a plasma TV back in the 2000s. It was burning there forever.
It's just a fun, permanent thing from the eclipse.
So, clearly people did not learn from the last time we had an eclipse and we had a president that looked directly at the sun. Yeah. So, I am sorry for all of you. I had my glasses, I had a shield over my phone to take this picture.
Yeah.
I mean, as a guy that actually was a welder, maybe y'all need to wear the hood.
Right.
Honestly, that was one of my favorite things to see, was all these welders go,
oh, wait,
I'm ready. And then just set their welding helmet and then just put it on.
My buddy who's a welder did that exact same thing.
And it worked like a charm.
Yeah, it does.
A friend of mine who is an optometrist did go out and say nobody should watch the eclipse. Not because of the eye protection, because people are stupid.
I mean, fair enough.
Go watch it on NASA's website. It's awesome. But
real quick, something I found that was really amazing, because I work for a school district, so I'm around the youngins. I have elementary campuses I take care of, IT works. And when it went to totality, I was across the street, but they were all outdoors watching it, and the screams, the cheering that I heard from
my kids were telling me that.
It made me feel so good that they were so excited and into it. I was like, that made it so much more worth it. It was really cool.
Yeah, we were lucky enough the weather cooperated. We were able to watch the eclipse.
It was gorgeous.
It was amazing. Yeah.
It was a good time.
It was an amazing experience. Yeah.
I do want to give a little thing. I don't have the address. Unfortunately, I lost it. I wrote it down and lost it. But South America is going to be seeing a solar eclipse. soon. Like I think it's like in August,
Oh.
I believe. And they are asking everyone to donate their Eclipse glasses so that kids down there can see it, because Eclipse glasses only last for 3 years, which means they will not be good by the next time the Eclipse comes, which is in 40 years.
Yeah.
So, donate your Eclipse glasses, and people in schools in South
they
America
are being
can
recycled. My job actually recycled them.
Very.
Yeah.
I got a couple that I can probably get
But
to.
Yeah, for sure.
to that, as a perfect lead into this, I did post on Facebook. Everyone, it's okay. I did not gain superpowers from that. Someone in my direct vicinity was like, wow, what a topical, almost 20-year-old reference. And then...
18-year-old reference. If you're disappointed that you didn't get superpowers, so am I.
But then an announcement was made about a new Heroes show.
Heroes, the NBC television show from 2006.
Yeah.
Starring Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah.
This is the weird thing. I cannot tell you it's a reboot. I cannot tell you it's a continuation, because the production company said reboot, but they said it will be set years after the original series, which is not a reboot.
Yeah, that's very confusing.
It will be called Heroes Eclipsed. From what I understand, it will have nothing to do with the catastrophe that was Heroes Reborn, which was in 2015.
That's what I was trying to remember.
It sucked. It was awful, and yeah.
2015 was bad.
2006 Heroes is a beloved television show of mine, and I know a lot of people...
Save the cheerleaders, save the world.
Save the cheerleaders, save the world. I know a lot of people had issues with it past season 2. I liked it. I liked it all the way through. And I'd be really excited if there's a good show. Please, Tim Kring, don't disappoint me. I love your universe. It is as vast as the X-Men. Please do it justice.
I think barring any writer strike, this may actually be a success.
Yeah, Heroes is one of the 2 shows that suffered, I think, the most from the writer's strike. 2007 writer's strike. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I never watched Heroes, not because of, I wasn't into superheroes yet.
Yeah.
That changed real quick. By the way. I never understood why the logo looked like that. Now I get it.
Yeah, basically, your superpowers activate with the Eclipse.
Yeah.
And it has you were talking about weaving storylines. It has one of the best examples of that I've ever seen.
Before the writer's strike.
The first season is 13 episodes, and by the end, everything comes together in one plotline. It's so interesting. It's one of the reasons I love that show so much. So yeah, please don't disappoint me, Tim Kring. I loved your show. Please.
This pitiful kid.
So,
anyway.
Wow, rude.
Yeah, I am so ready for... I mean, let's take another crack at it.
Yeah.
2015 was not good.
Heroes Reborn sucked, and move on.
Cora?
Alright, I've got one last one. I don't know much about this property, but I do have opinions, and I feel like that's important for this show. I'm sure that especially comic book fans and TMNT fans have heard of The Last Ronin. It was an R-rated comic book that was written about the last surviving Ninja Turtle, and it was apparently really, really good. I haven't had the chance to read it myself. But that's okay. I don't need to read it because we're getting a live action for this. And I have a lot of weird opinions about that because, look, I grew up in the 90s. I may not have watched the 90s Ninja Turtles because I didn't have it. I was very beholden to whatever I had, but I've seen it.
It was pretty amazing.
It is fun in a way that only that could have been because it didn't take itself too seriously. It wasn't you had serious storylines, but they weren't anything with actual stakes, the world or lots of
Very
death.
Saturday morning.
Excuse you.
Dimension X.
Hold on. Now hold
Dimension
on.
X.
No, I'm talking... Go ahead.
When I say that, I mean it in terms of what you would expect from a movie in the 90s that was made for kids. Yes, there was death. Yes, there was that kind of stuff, but the stakes were not placed in a way that was so deeply serious that a kid couldn't enjoy it. And it was definitely not R-rated.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
It's the problem I had with the newer Ninja Turtles live actions that came out. I just didn't like the CGI as much. I didn't like how they did it. So I'm real nervous about this one because I feel like having an animated one would make a lot more sense than having something that is live action for The Last Ronin. That's just my opinion, though.
So, as a guy that bought Ninja Turtles #1, which, like, black and white comic, hyper violent.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were
adult.
ninjas.
Very adult.
Turtles.
I would like to point out, just real quick, then, I grew up on the TV show.
You did.
Right.
Which
also,
is different.
Yeah,
It is
way
very
different.
And I'm not
Especially for
saying-
somebody that had that first comic. I was like,
Yeah. It was nuts.
Okay.
It was.
The movie is honestly timeless. It still holds up to this day. But when The Last Ronin came out and I saw the source or what it was based off of, also, I called out who it was, like, at the beginning. I knew exactly who it was.
Was it Michelangelo or was
No,
it...
we're not going to talk about that.
my bad.
But I knew who it was. And just
Stick.
a story...
That's not the name of the comics, never mind.
A story that, like, I had to buy in hardcover that breaks your heart. This
Splinter.
is it.
Splinter.
No. And if anybody would like to borrow my copy of The Last Ronin, you may. It is a very excellent story. Highly recommend. You don't need to be a Ninja Turtles fan. This breaks it all down for you.
Right.
This is just a good condensed story with a beginning and a definite end.
Is it
For
canon?
better or worse, it is canon.
Okay.
It is canon. Probably one of the best things I've read. Also, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird did have a falling out a couple of years ago. And they made up. They were able to come together and make a product. And this is them working on
That's
something.
both of them? Oh, well, there you go.
An excellent story.
Sold.
We're getting a video game about this.
Where's
we're getting,
the Punisher?
Huh?
Where's the Punisher?
I'm sorry, who?
Anyway,
But what is... Oh, go on.
seriously, if you got a
It's
chance to
unbeatable.
get this will be one of the best comic stories that you have read in many years. And the adaptation has some big shoes to fill.
Yeah. What is your opinion on it being a live action?
I think it can be done.
In
What?
in which style?
But it is not. This is not going to be that happy-go-lucky. Look, we just got
Better be dark.
We just got Mutant Mayhem, which was great. This will not be that story.
Yeah, because he's going crazy. He's seeing his dead brothers.
This is a character that is. He is the final turtle. Is literally haunted.
For
Yeah.
Cass, the other... there's 4 Ninja Turtles. 3 of them are dead. And this is the last one. That's why
The
he's
last
the last
Ronin.
Ronin.
The last Ronin,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And his master.
So-
At the
dad,
beginning of the
that's why
story,
Ronin.
we
Yeah.
don't know who it is, but there also is a longtime
That's the
character.
turtle.
But there's a longtime character that in the story knows exactly
Who he is.
who it is, and it's so great. Like that moment, like honestly, that moment reading the comics as a miniseries brought me to tears.
No joke.
This is a good condensed story. If you've got it, I recommend reading it. It's a book you can read from beginning to end, and whatever the ending is, it is the ending.
Satisfying.
It is the end, and very perfectly done. Seriously, I can't wait for the game. I can't wait for the movie.
Yeah.
But because they're gonna ride this gravy train. This
Yeah.
made money. They reprinted these comics so many times so people could get to them.
Yeah.
I knew eventually they were gonna expand on it. So.
Makes sense.
More, of course, merchandise, but now, yeah. Seriously, if you want to read this, it's all yours. You can. Before the movie.
All right, Cass, do you got another story for us?
I just had the wild, random shit that happened at CinemaCon.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Peter Dinklage as a literal goat.
And I got nothing else. Aaron, did you?
Yeah, I
He
had
makes
one.
those noises. You're joking. He makes those
This is
noises.
serious.
Oh
I
my
just
God.
did that because it's what goats
No,
do.
literally, yes.
On my
that's how he
grandmother's
talks.
farm, it's
Yes,
what the
wow.
noises. Okay, so a funny story that I just came across. I thought y'all would be entertained by this.
This is a perfect game.
It fits with everything. Okay, so in Scotland, there was a man that was riding a train, having his old day go by, all this lovely stuff. All of a sudden, he has a transit officer come up and ask him if he would kindly step off the train to have what he said was a chat. when he got off the train, he was all of a sudden surrounded by 2 firearms officers, which I'm assuming that's officers with weapons, 3 Scotland police officers, 2 British transit officers, including the one, to have the said so-called chat. Now you would think, what could this man possibly have done? Like, did he commit crimes? Did he hold up somebody? No. He was on his way to a con. He was dressed up as a stormtrooper, and he had the E11 blaster rifle, and they thought he was an armed individual, and somebody on the train called the cops on him, and it had a whole thing. Basically, nothing really happened once they figured out what was going on. They basically told him, like, listen, put the gun in a bag. Don't put the armor on till you get there, okay?
First off, they don't understand how hard it is to get that armor on.
Yeah, I know. That is so true. That's probably why he was dressed up the way he was, right? But yeah, I thought that was kind of a little sweet little story that popped off.
Clearly they were not familiar with Star Wars lore.
No, that's what
they would know. A stormtrooper armed with that weapon ain't hitting shit.
I mean, to be fair to the British,
Scottish.
Oh no, I'm throwing in British because you mentioned that the
They
British
were in
police
there.
were there too.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Absolutely.
Perhaps if you would let countries be free, you wouldn't have to worry about guns. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
1776.
But I can also confirm that officers in the UK
Right.
typically do not carry firearms.
Right.
Yeah.
They done billy clubs and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why when it
Only
said firearms, I was like, they had to be
specific
somebody with.
officers.
They had to call out
Yeah.
the special guys. Anyway.
That was insane.
There's
It's like,
very-
Who doesn't know who a stormtrooper is? Come on.
that's
now.
what I thought too.
I don't think they had it wasn't so much a problem of the stormtrooper, it was the gun. Because
Yeah,
I can dress
was.
as a stormtrooper and carry an AK-47. I still have an AK-47.
I would still be less worried about a stormtrooper carrying an AK-47. He can't hit me.
And have you worn those helmets? You can't see out of them at
no.
all.
The eyes are way too
They're
far
like
apart.
up here on your face.
That's why they can't hit anything. The eyes are over here.
Nobody ever thought about that.
Anyway, hilarious.
Yeah.
Damn. Anyway.
That's true. That's not where human eyes are.
No, they're not.
Not even close.
Even Bubba Fett's helmet. I have
Yeah,
one, and you have to
yeah.
tilt it down so you can see it.
Yeah, at least the
right?
clone troopers, their eyes matched up where their eye holes matched up where their eyes should be. You know, they were like this, but
I've never... Get together, George.
that's why they couldn't hit anything. So,
Understood. Now I understand.
It
yeah,
all comes together.
that's a
The
good one.
whole trilogy makes sense to me now.
That's a good one to end it off on. Guys, thank you for joining us out there. Aaron, thank you for joining
Dude,
us
thank
on the
y'all.
show.
Thank you
This
again
was
for
so
having
much fun.
I appreciate
We're
it.
so happy to have you on. Guys, make sure you go check us out on all the socials at SCNS Live. Check out our website, supercoolnerdshow.com. Going to be some big announcements coming up here soon. We got some things planned. But if you want to follow us personally, you can follow me at Jason the X on all social media. Cass?
The good cast, mostly on Instagram. The socials that might change soon. I don't know. Not feeling it.
Oh,
I don't do social. It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
okay. Troy?
you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CoroDonoArt.
All right, y'all get the hell out of here. I got to watch Fallout. Anyway, as I was saying, guys, thank you for joining us out there. We'll see you next week. And as we always say around here, keep on nerding.
on. Hodor.
Hodor. Just gonna make them suffer.
It really did.
Hold on.